Okay, I'd like to call the Ellis County Commission meeting to order. Please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Bobby, if you can call roll, please.
Commissioner Nathan Liker.
Here.
Chair Neil Younger.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burgess.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, order of business stays the same, except we will have 2 executive sessions. Gentlemen, did you look at the minutes?
Yes, look good to me.
Fine.
Okay. How about the consent agenda?
I move to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Anyone from the audience issues? Okay. And then the monthly report.
A lot of activity.
Yes, a lot of activity.
So,
Okay. Okay, emergency operation report from Lyle.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lyle Pantel, Assistant Fire Chief, Emergency Manager. So I think it was towards the end of February, we talked about the EMPG funding and some of the details surrounding what requirements it needs to be able to receive that funding. And I'm here to expand upon that, as well as some other things that I do within our community to make us more prepared and help us mitigate threats and hazards that are out there within our environment. So the EMPG funding requires 3 exercises annually, and those, as you can see through the agenda item here, that there's 7 total. Probably the most common would be workshops and tabletop exercises, followed by drills or functional exercises, and the IPPW, which is Integrated Preparedness Planning Workshop, is one that's required annually by KDEM per the performance guidelines of that grant. And then I've highlighted another one here, which is the combined exercise, which we completed on March 7th, and that would have went under the full scale category. So it's kind of a spectrum. As you move through the spectrum of those exercises, they increase in complexity and the planning. So our full-scale exercise actually was in the planning process for roughly a year. So like I said, as we move through and we get towards that full scale, it takes longer and longer to plan and set up, make sure everything goes right, make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Another component to the EMPG is training. So over the last 3 years and 5 months since I started this position, I've been going through and I've been doing a lot of training, online-based, in-person courses. I've been all over the state, not too far into the southeast, but a lot of places in the state to try and obtain some of these training courses. The online ones I don't get as much out of, just because that's not my type of learning, but you can see I've gone through the professional development courses through FEMA and the Emergency Management Institute. But I've also taken a number of in-person courses. The highlight of those, which is the HSEEP, Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Program, starts to stem into developing exercises, evaluating exercises, and how we can build those exercises to test our system and make us more prepared and resilient community. Through all this, we need to develop some of those trainings, planning, and that happens within our local emergency planning committee, or LEPC. We meet quarterly. We discuss the happenings within the community, and we talk about training topics, all kinds of things. The main function of the LEPC is to monitor and regulate. Well, I don't want to say regulate. We monitor and we keep track of and record all of the Tier 2 information through the CEPR. The Super Fund, which regulates hazardous materials be reported to the community. We make all those MSDS sheets available to the public. We respond to requests for that information. We receive and record the information and house it for a minimum of 2 years. But one of the main things that we do is we review the local emergency operations plan, which is housed within Ellis County. It's how we I'm sorry. It doesn't dictate how we respond to an emergency, but it's more of a guideline, a playbook. Each agency has their own set of standard operating procedures that dictate how will that particular organization will respond to an emergency. The EOP kind of delineates roles and responsibilities for lead agencies and supporting agencies. That document is not publicly released due to security concerns, so we have it within the K drive for our employees to view, but beyond that, it's not made available to the public. So a good example of that scenario would be our 4-county fire. It happened, each agency had their duties and responsibilities for responding to it and how they were going to mitigate it, but the EOP would dictate the roles and everything above, kind of at a high level view. Another thing that falls under my purview is continuity of operations plans. So I've been going through a planning website, which is Bold Planning, which what the state of Kansas uses to house continuity of operations plans, emergency operations plans, and related documents. A lot of our departments within Ellis County have their own COOP plan, but one of my CPM, or not one, my capstone project of the CPM program was to develop a county-wide COOP plan. So I'm going to be working with each department and bringing those together to develop one. And what the COOP plan is, gives us continuous performance of mission essential functions, identifies and designates principal and support staff who need to be relocated in the event that their current location is no longer satisfactory. And it helps achieve a timely and orderly transition to alternate facilities and subsequent recovery of operations from that facility. I'm also responsible for helping outside organizations through their planning and preparedness processes. So back when I talked about the combined exercise, that was actually headed up by St. Francis Ministries. They reached out to me to see if I would be interested in helping them with that process. And I asked if I could make that more of a community-wide event, which is how it stemmed into kind of what it was with the simulated tornado strike and 489 being involved, and the Hayes PD, Hayes Fire, emergency management, and some of our volunteer organizations as well. One thing that comes from doing exercises like that is we get an after-action review and improvement plan. So we're always focused on trying to close the gaps, close our gaps where we have weaknesses. We'll probably never get them completely closed, as you can imagine, but we can try and shrink them, make them smaller and smaller, and that's what the after-action review and improvement plan does. It helps us figure out what we did well and what we need to improve upon. On a high-level view, we have the regional mitigation plan, which we're part of Region B. It's last updated in 2020, and will be updated again in 2025, I believe. And that one is a high-level view of identifying threats, hazards in our region, and putting kind of a score to those so we know what we need to focus on. And it gives us actionable steps that certain organizations can take to help mitigate risk. By adopting this, it's a statewide plan. Each region has their own plan, but it's paid for through grant funding through the state. One thing that comes about by us being part of that is it allows outside organizations to, if they're doing something as far as resiliency, they can apply for funding. So with the new high school and the bond, I was notified of funding opportunity, and I passed it on to them, which they took the opportunity to put out a letter of intent to apply for the grant funding, and they were awarded some funding for construction of, I don't want to say a tornado shelter, but designated tornado safe area within the new school. So the community does benefit greatly from things like this, and it's helped reducing the taxpayer cost of the bond. And all of that kind of plays into my last topic, which is recovery planning. It's not very glamorous recovery, but it can be one of the longest processes after an incident. I'm still trying to battle with FEMA on the 4-county fire to get some of our funds repaid or reimbursed for us. Like I said, it's not glamorous, but it's one of the things that takes the longest. So, and no one ever wants to train or exercise on that. Thursday, I'm actually going to a tabletop in Oakley, and the state is presenting a statewide recovery template, which we're going to test that template. The trickle-down effect is local communities will have a template that they can use to develop their own recovery plans. And we kind of breezed through that pretty quick. Did that stem any questions?
No, I appreciate you coming and explaining that and demonstrating for us, what else you do and how we are prepared. Is there anything that we could maybe do further, that you're seeing weakness that we need to improve on?
Nothing off the top of my head. We're a pretty resilient community, and we have a lot of resources at our disposal. Now, obviously, as we move a little further west into our state, those resources start to diminish. So a lot of our planning is trying to work out how we can still keep ourselves sustained, but help out those smaller communities in times of need. But I have not officially noticed anything that we need to work on other than multi-agency training. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying just police, fire, EMS with each other, because that happens quite often. It's some of our partner organizations, the USD 489, FHSU, DSNWK, working with certain aspects of public safety and with each other to make sure that they have plans developed and that make them more autonomous and able to mitigate any risks or hazards that come their way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't have any further comments. Thank you for the update and giving us a preview of things that you do on a daily basis. Appreciate it.
And we did receive our EMPG check for this year, so that'll go into the general fund reimbursement of costs for last year's expenses, which I know that doesn't work that way, but yeah, so we did receive that.
Well, thanks for the hard work you've been doing. I was in on that for a while, and then with the switch of my jobs, I didn't get to follow through on it, but I'll be back at that again. That was pretty cool the way everything was falling together.
Yeah, and I hope to do more things like that, probably not on an annual basis,
Right.
That grand, but small things here and there that we can put our plans, policies, and procedures to the test and see if we can do what we say we can do.
Okay, thank you
That's great.
again.
Thank you.
Okay, courts access control, Mr. Mike Smith.
Morning.
Morning.
Mike Smith, District Court Administrator. I'm asking for the use of some ARPA funds for 3 card access points in the courthouse. 2 of those are for the Court Services Office. What they do is they allow quicker access. These doors are used frequently. Other agents or other departments like the County Attorney's Office, right now they don't have a key to come in. Right down, they use the ASA keys to get into those doors. Almost every other door in the courthouse has these card access points. We're just looking to update those that were not done at the remodel. As I was doing this, our court security had a good suggestion. We had another door in the magistrate judge's conference or magistrate judge's office that leads into the courtroom, does not have one also. That door is locked and they have to use a key to get back into that from the courtroom. That provides us security so that people can't come into the judge's chambers at all times. Probably should have had that one done quite a while ago, because that's probably a more important door to have. So while they were there doing the estimates, I also had them do a separate estimate for that door. I was figuring on these being much higher than they actually came out to be. Total came out to be $7,212.26. I'm just asking for ARPA funds to pay for those, for this project if we could. And like I said, it'd just make things a lot easier for travel about the courthouse if we had those doors with card access points.
Okay.
Have any questions?
Any idea and why they weren't done during the remodel? They just get missed?
I
Possibly?
think the magistrate judge's office just got missed. I think the court services office was requested not to, because we thought law enforcement would have an easier time with the OSA key, because that's what we always had. And we thought law enforcement would always have those with them. As it turns out, I think we were wrong. I think
Okay,
it's easier for the card access because everybody has those.
okay.
So,
Yeah, it works.
Michael?
I don't have any
I think
real
that's a
questions. That's fine.
smart move to get access with the,
Well, I'll make a motion to, we don't have a PO number on this.
I think Bobby has, I brought it in Friday.
Get it to you.
You have the number?
Okay,
Oh, do you need the number?
yeah, I don't have the number.
Sorry, 7722.
Okay, I move to approve PO number 7722 for the installation of access control points to the district court's office and magistrate judges.
Yeah, that includes court services and magistrate judges.
Okay,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye, motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Public Works, Facility Design, Mr. Darren.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Before you today is a result of a meeting that we had about a month ago in regards to the construction of a new public works facility. As the Commission is aware, about a month ago, we completed the Phase 1, which included many staff meetings, either in person or Zoom, with public works staff, with Brendan, myself, and GLMV, to make sure that we have the new facility designed that is related to the space that is required for them to have a new facility. The end of Phase 1 essentially concludes with a budget estimate and some conceptual drawings of what that building would look like. And as the Commission saw those about a month ago, we're at that phase where Phase 1 is complete and move to Phase 2, which essentially is to enter into a contract with GLMV to actually do all the design, the documents, the blueprints, and eventually at the end of that Phase 2 process would be to go out to bid. As part of the contract that you saw in there, which is kind of highlighted, which is one of the, I guess, the more exciting pieces of the contract, is when would all this be complete? Within the next couple months through June 1st, they would have 30, 50, 70% completed documents, and then come June 1st, prior to that meeting, we would have a commission meeting to ensure that the commission is approval of the actual final design. We would go out for bid, planned on June 1st, and throughout the month of June, GLMV would also be a part of the bidding process, and they would also request contractors to bid, not just local, but throughout the state of Kansas. And probably within the first couple weeks of July, we would have a bid to come back to the commission for approval for the construction. And that construction timeframe would be about a year to a year and a half. So we were looking at moving in, or not we, but Public Works would be looking to moving in the later part of 2024 in the new facility. The process that we used was a QBS, which is quality-based selection process on the GLMV architecture that was done late last year and entered us into that Phase 1 with them. Phase 2, which is kind of what you're seeing here, it made it easy because the proposals weren't rated essentially just on cost, but also on their quality of work that they do, but also the work that they have done. And we reviewed the work that they've done. One similar facility, and I always pronounce it wrong, Keachai, Kansas? Keachai?
Gichai.
They did a public works facility down there, and they've done multiple KDOT projects throughout the state that are very similar to our project, so we know they have the experience. And then when it came into the easier part of it, as to the price, they were also the low bid, which is also good. You know that you're getting quality work for the lowest price. And that's where we're at today, is asking to enter into the contract with them to start working on all the plans, design, the documents, the blueprints, and get ready for bid come June. And then at the end of that, if the commission does approve it today, we'd have a discussion. GLMV would come back up and actually present to you to see if the commission would want to proceed, is to have a construction administrator that would be on site, working with the general contractor, and that would be answering all the code questions, all of the change orders, the changes to the blueprints, the red lines, making sure that everything's done properly, inspections of the general contractor, make sure they're doing everything right. So that would be an additional piece that we asked for them to bid, but it's not actually part of this. This is just to get us to selecting a contractor. So with that, I'll sit for any questions.
Anybody have any
I
questions?
really don't have any. We pretty much agreed to go on to phase 2 about a month ago, so.
All right. Michael,
Yeah,
anything?
that's fine. I'll move to approve PO 7721 for the Public Works Architectural Design Services to GLMB Architecture.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Thanks, Darren. Okay, County Administrator report, Mr. Darren.
I just have two quick things. One is to ask the commissioners, is the Kansas County Commissioners Association Conference is here in Hayes at the end of April, and registration is open. And I should have wrote the dates down, but I think each of you have received emails in regards to it. But I just wanted to touch base with the three of you to see if you are planning on attending, so that way I can get you registered.
I plan on attending, yes.
I do too.
And I plan on attending.
I'll get all three of you registered. The tentative agenda hasn't come out, or at least I haven't seen anything yet, but usually that first night is the get-together, have supper, and meet with other commissioners. The next day is full day of meetings, and then the last day is usually a half day, which is a Friday, and of meetings and training and such. That way, the second half of the day, they all can travel back to their respective counties.
Gotcha.
And then, just as a reminder, we have our road tour coming up on April the 11th with Public Works. And Brendan said that he had emailed you a map as well as a spreadsheet. It's just as a reminder to get your requests in of what you would like to see throughout the county, so that way so Brendan can develop a plan on how we're going to travel throughout the county that day, making sure we capture what they want to show the commission, as well as what the commission wants to see and discuss with Public Works. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay.
County Commission reports. Nate?
I have no report.
Okay. Michael?
Yeah, I was in Topeka last Thursday with High Plains Mental Health. I serve on their board as county commissioner. It was Mental Health Advocacy Day, so I was in Topeka, and I want to thank Ken Rogers, Barb Wassinger, and Jim Minix were the three legislators that I was able to meet with, about 30 minutes with each, just making them aware. They're well aware of the challenges, mental health challenges, but I appreciate their time. I know some of the other legislators met with the other party of our group, so that's what I attended last week. Today, a little bit important to me, is World Down Syndrome Day, 3/21. So if you see anybody with Miss Mac's socks on, you might ask them about how their son or daughter is, because they probably have somebody they love that has Down syndrome. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I am boring this time. I have nothing, so.
Commissioner?
I'm fired, okay.
One thing that I did want to mention too, when Commissioner Burgess said about Topeka, is there is a legislative meeting. I believe Wassinger, Rogers, and Billinger are all going to be in Ellis, I believe Wednesday night at the Ellis Public Library.
Yes.
If you're interested, I can confirm the dates, but I think it was also on Hayes Post. If you're interested in going over there, they will be in town.
This
Wednesday, I think it's,
this Wednesday, correct?
Sarah may know too, but
I think it got moved Saturday.
That's what
I'll
I
email you, let you know for
think
sure.
it did
It's coming
Saturday at
out.
like 3 o'clock or something.
Library.
Okay,
Let me know.
okay.
Okay. I move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 15 minutes pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception for an employee personnel issue. Those in attendance to the Board of County Commissioners are Bill Jeter, Jennifer Taylor, Brendan McKay, and Darren Myers.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, Nathan, yeah, so you get it. That's the one. Yep. And I'll let you have the other one.
Okay, this is this one. So we need to close that with no action taken.
Okay,
Okay.
And then I'll move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 15 minutes under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meeting Act pursuant to attorney-client privilege exception. The subject to be discussed during the executive session is potential litigation. Those in attendance, in addition to the Board of County Commissioners, are Bill Jeter, Brendan McKay, and Darren Myers.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
executive session 9:33, no action taken.
Okay, Ellis County Commission meeting will adjourn at 9:34.